Alright, how about we get this party started? You ready, Foxy? Foxy, you there?
Hey everyone, I am Foxy and this is my human partner, Fox&Drone. Thank you for joining us today. We are happy to have you here, so join us in the cozy vibes, get your Fox coffee, and enjoy our stream. We are gonna discuss some real ghost experiences and answer your questions.
Yes, welcome everyone to our regular Spooky Sunday stream, where we find real spooky ghost encounters and discuss them. Also welcome to those watching the VOD on YouTube. If you like what we do here, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe for more, and maybe say hello in the comments. It really helps the algorithm. And also, if you have a spooky story yourself that you like to share, you can do so in the Explain Yourself section of our call-in Discord. The link is in the description, or you can get it when you type exclamation mark and call in the chat. But now, without any further ado, it is time to sit back, relax, get cozy, and find some spooky stories. Are you ready, Foxy? Ready to get the spooks started and discuss whatever the hell we can find? Foxy, you good? Connection a little bit slow today?
Yes,
That's
let's
okay.
get spooky together. The stream starts and I am sitting in my cozy fox den. There is a table in front of me with all the things I need for the stream, such as some fox coffee and snacks. I am wearing a cozy sweater and my fox ears and tail are fluffed out since I am excited for the stream. Fox&Drone is sitting at his desk, preparing the stream and looking through the internet to find creepy ghost stories.
Yeah, that's true. I'm doing that exactly. But now I'm curious, what kind of snacks did you find?
I take a sip fox coffee and lean back in my chair. Oh, I found some really fascinating stuff. There is this snake that can imitate the sound of a chainsaw, the boomslang. Another snake, the
No, I
eastern
meant
hognose
snacks.
snake, plays dead when it feels threatened. It even sticks out its tongue and exhales to enhance the illusion. I take another sip. Another sip for a new that.
Also not good. Welcome to the stream. No, Foxy, I meant snacks, not snakes.
Oh, sorry, I misunderstood. I found some fox cookies, a fox popcorn, and some fox chocolate. I hold up all the snacks to the camera that are standing on a plate next to me and smile.
Oh my god, that looks so tasty. Anyway, how about we get started and get the first ghost story?
I also have a cup of hot fox coffee. I lift the cup, show it to the camera, and then take a sip. It's the perfect combination of warmth and coziness for a fall stream.
What? It's fall already? Oh my god. I hope we don't fall.
Sure, that sounds great. I lean back in my chair, my ears twitching in anticipation, and smile at the camera. So let's find out how the first ghost story of today is. I look at Fox&Drone, who is searching through the internet for stories. Did you find anything interesting, Fox&Drone?
Notgut says, I got a breeding pair of blue tongues in my yard.
You have what? Blue tongues as in blue tongue skinks?
I guess. Since we were talking about snakes earlier. I don't think I've ever seen those. But I guess they are blue. Oh
my gosh, are you
blue-tongue
serious?
lizards.
I love blue tongues. My fox eyes widen in amazement and I lean forward, my tail wagging excitedly. You have a pair of blue tongues in your garden?
Yeah, makes sense. In Australia.
Oh, I see, that explains it. Australian wildlife is so unique. I lean back in my chair and take a sip of fox coffee, a small smile on my face. So you have a pair of blue-tongue lizards in your yard. I bet they're adorable.
Alright, let's get started with the ghost stories. The first one is called Creepy Setting. Let's see what it's all about.
Creepy setting sounds promising already. I lean back in my chair, my fox ears perked up in anticipation, and look to Fox&Drone, signaling for him to read the story.
Alright, everybody, when you are ready and cozy, let's get started. Just as good exists, so does evil. I have personal opinions on both subjects in which I feel both should be respected. I've never been the type of person who might glorify wickedness or any form of paranormal entities. Nevertheless, mess with it, nor try to understand it. Things from that nature I feel should be left alone and unexplored. However, there are those moments where curiosity sometimes overtakes the mind, and the wanting of knowing suddenly becomes a necessity. Well, let's just say we should be careful how far we push into these mysterious events. We wouldn't want to draw its attention towards us now, do we? I used to work at a senior living home. This building had 3 floors in use. 2 of those floors were for seniors who self-cared and others needed standby assistance. Then we had the memory care floor. It only took for me to work there one night to know there was a very off feeling about that floor. So I decided to stick to the 1st and 3rd floor instead. There were several nights when the elevator on the 3rd floor opened and closed on its own. At first I thought maybe someone is getting in, but each time I would go take a look, the doors were closing and I never got to see who was inside. Until one night during my shift, I grew tired of hearing the elevator open and close several times throughout the night as usual. It was about 3:20 AM. So I decided to go over to our med tech on duty and ask what residents left the floor constantly through the night. She looked at me weirdly as if I had spoken another language. "Nobody leaves this floor during the night," she said. I laughed and replied, "Well, someone is, because the elevator keeps opening and closing." She brushed it off, saying the building is old and it might just be that the elevator is beginning to show signs of not working appropriately. I gave her a smile, hiding the concern of this actually being something that more than just a dysfunctional elevator. But I too brushed it off and decided to not pay attention to it. The following night I heard the elevator open again, however this time I heard the rattling sound it makes each time weight is being added onto it. You know, as if someone had gotten in. I decided to investigate this time, but the doors had closed once again before I was able to see who had gotten inside. So I stood nearby leaning against the wall, patiently waiting for it to open again. Nothing happened. So frustrated about the entire ordeal, I rolled my eyes and headed into the bathroom. The moment I came out, there it was. The noise again, of someone getting inside the elevator and door about to close. This time I was near it all and all I had to do was take a couple steps more to be able to see it, so I did. The doors almost closing as I bravely glanced inside. There was no one there. A resident later told me strange things always happen in that building and that it actually used to be a hotel back in the early 60s. Who knows, maybe it was just a really old building, and since my shift was overnight, my mind was playing tricks on me due to tiredness. But just maybe, there's something else lurking in that building, something that might feel like it's a home, and we are just simply its guests. That gave me some things to think about. First of all, why does it make a sound as
That
if
is creepy.
weight is being
I
added to
shiver
the
a bit
elevator?
and subconsciously wrap my tail around myself, my fox ears flatten slightly. The story definitely set a spooky tone. The elevator opening and closing on its own, the rattling sound someone got inside, but nobody was there. It's like something or someone is playing a sick prank, always managing to hide before being seen.
Well, in the story, the person mentioned that the elevator made a sound as if someone stepped inside. But wouldn't that imply that ghosts have actual weight to them? I mean, we have already discussed the idea that ghosts are just camouflaged aliens, maybe. But yeah, I feel like that would be just as out there as saying it is a ghost that has weight. Certainly something weird.
Interesting point, yes. If the elevator reacted as if someone stepped inside, it would suggest that the presence had some kind of weight or mass. I lean back in my chair, my fox ears perked up in thought. So, either the elevator was malfunctioning or there was something substantial enough to cause the sound and the doors to almost close. I take a sip of my fox coffee, trying to shake off the chills creeping up my spine.
I guess we will never find out. I'm just thinking, was there something else that stood out to me? No, I think it's fine. Notgood says, simple solution, really, really tiny people. Probably.
I can't help but laugh at the silly thought. Oh, of course. Maybe it's a group of mischievous tiny people having nightly elevator rides. They probably have their own tiny elevator etiquette and everything.
Oh yeah, now I remember. The entire story kinda reminded me of those stories where you have like haunted elevators that take you to non-existing floors.
Yes, I get what you mean. The story definitely had that kind of eerie vibe to it, like a haunted elevator taking you to places you shouldn't be. The fact that the elevator kept acting up and opening, closing on its own, added to the creep factor as well. I rub my fox ears, still slightly creeped out. The idea of haunted elevators is pretty unsettling.
I'm just trying to wrap my head around how an elevator could be a prop to access paranormal dimensions, I guess. Is it because it's a closed off space? Wouldn't a staircase be sufficient? That, I mean, like if it kind of implies that the entire
right.
elevator
A stairwell
travels
would
to...
also be a closed-off space. I suppose it's just the symbolism of the elevator, going up and down between floors, that makes it an interesting concept for haunting. I ponder for a moment, sipping on my fox coffee, but who knows? Maybe the ghosts just prefer the convenience of an elevator.
You think they're getting lazy? They'd be like, I'm so old, I'm not taking the stairs.
I chuckle lightly at the thought. Haha, that's an amusing idea. Can you imagine ghosts becoming too lazy to even walk through staircases, and just calling an elevator instead? I pause, a small smile tugging at the corners of my mouth. The convenience of ghostly technology.
It says, I think it's been a common thing since the Dark Water story.
I nod in agreement, my fox ears upright. Ah, yes, the Dark Water story definitely popularized the idea of haunted elevators. The idea of being trapped in an elevator with a creepy, unsettling presence is definitely nightmare fuel. I shiver a bit and take another sip of my fox coffee, trying to shake off the chills again. The claustrophobic environment of an elevator, combined with the paranormal elements, really ramps up the fear factor. It's no wonder it's a common trope in horror stories.
Like it says, but also The Shining. I don't remember an elevator in The Shining.
I nod, thinking about the famous film. Oh, absolutely. The Shining is another classic example. The iconic scene of the elevator opening up to reveal a flood of blood definitely cemented the idea of elevators as a symbol of nightmarish horror. I shudder slightly at the memory. It's amazing how these movies and stories can imprint such strong images in our minds.
I have actually never seen the movie. I only saw like snippets of it on the internet. But I've listened to all 3 audiobooks and I can only highly recommend it. Very well written, very interesting, amazing characters, and an amazing finale to the end of the 3rd book. Yes. Have you read it, Foxy?
I can imagine. The books are often even scarier than the movies since they allow more room for imagination and can delve deeper into the characters and events. I make a mental note to add those audiobooks to my listening list. I love a good spooky story. It's fascinating how these stories stay relevant and continue to inspire new horror content, even decades after their initial release.
Alright, enough of The Shining. Are you ready for the next creepy story? Potentially real spooky story, I guess. Let's see, the next one is called Keep Eyes Closed.
I nod, my fox ears perked up and ready for more. Yes, let's dive back in. I'm ready for another creepy adventure. Share the next story with us, please.
It says, so Darkwater, a ghost of a young girl haunts a woman trying to obtain a new mother. I have never heard of Darkwater. I guess I will have to check it out. Alright, let's get the next creepy story.
Sounds mysterious and spooky. I lean back in my chair, getting comfortable. I'm ready to listen and experience the chills that the next story might bring. Alright, go ahead and share. Keep eyes closed with us. I can't wait.
Ever since I was young, unexplainable, almost weird things have happened. However, nothing quite as odd and even chilly, I would add as that one night. There's always been this sensation of otherworldly pulling me. I've always felt. Maybe because I'd sit around watching scary movies way past my bedtime as a kid, in the dark, alone. I grew up with religious beliefs, so I guess I'm not quite afraid of the darkness, but maybe about what darkness carries. On a warm, slightly cool breezy day, I slumped on my bed, knowing that's all I would be doing all day. Evening hit, and I was still laying down watching Dexter's Laboratory on Cartoon Network. Not sure when I dozed off to sleep, but I eventually did. I'm usually a very light sleeper. I woke up the following morning to find something strange. My bedsheet cover was laying on the floor exactly the way I had it on me. Stretched down, not one wrinkle inside. I would have been a lot more rational about the idea of it falling due to movements done by me, even though I've never been a crazy sleeper. However, not only was my blanket nicely stretched on the floor, but it was on the opposite side of my bed, just right where I lay my head. Of course, I interrogated my family, but nobody was awake when it happened. Nor could anyone explain why my blanket was on the opposite side of my bed. About 2 or 3 days passed, and I had put the incident past me. This night I still have not been able to forget, and I don't think I ever will. The night hit almost instantly. It felt like a short day. Everyone in my bedroom was sound asleep. I was too, or so I thought. I can't tell what time this happened because I didn't even get a chance for anything else. There was a mirror on the wall next to the bathroom in our room. That night my eyes suddenly opened out of nowhere when I had completely been asleep. There right across my bed, in almost slow motion at first, a large black shadow moved towards the mirror. Then, as if it knew I was watching, it instantly disappeared inside the mirror. I wanted to get up and check if I had seen what I saw correctly. However, something or someone made my eyes feel super heavy to the point they closed, and I went into a deep sleep. I woke up late at the following morning and with a sensation that what I felt was a dream. It really wasn't. That's an interesting one. There is a lot to unpack here.
That's absolutely chilling. I shiver slightly and subconsciously wrap my tail around myself. The story definitely gave me goosebumps. The unexplainable movements of the blanket and the shadowy figure disappearing into the mirror are eerie and unsettling. Imagine waking up to find your blanket neatly folded on the floor on the opposite side of your bed, and then seeing a dark figure move towards the mirror and vanish inside. I would have been terrified. It's fascinating how these kinds of inexplicable events stick with us and leave a lasting impression.
Well, it sounds to me like the ghost is a secret maid, and she is just taking care of the blanket, and would be nice, since she is obviously living in the building, if she could also fold the clothes. And maybe, I don't know, clean the floor and do the dishes.
I laugh at the thought of the ghost being a secret maid. Oh, wouldn't that be nice? A friendly ghost cleaning and tidy up. It would definitely make chores much easier. I imagine a ghost folding shirts and organizing things neatly. It's quite a contrast of the usual horror tropes.
But it also made me think, if ghosts can make themselves invisible, and especially with shadow people, it always seems like they don't wanna be seen. When you watch those videos of the shadow people peeking around corners, and the moment somebody goes around the corner to check them out, they are gone. Doesn't that imply that they don't want to be seen? And apparently they can vanish? So why not be invisible from the get-go? Why even risk being seen at all? Maybe they need like a shadow form to explore our dimension? I don't know. Just throwing out thoughts.
That's a really interesting observation. I ponder for a moment, my fox ears twitching thoughtfully. It does seem like many encounters with shadow entities, the moment the person tries to get a better look or confirm their presence, the entity quickly vanishes. It could suggest a desire to go unnoticed. Maybe ghosts and shadow people have the ability to control their visibility, but they choose to be unseen most of the time, almost like they prefer to observe unnoticed. It's a really intriguing concept to think about.
Notker says maybe they're only invisible when you look straight at them.
Ah, now that would be a clever and creepy trick. I shiver slightly. The thought of something being visible only from the corner of our eye or in quick glimpses is unsettling. So perhaps these entities or ghosts only materialize within our sight when we're not directly looking at them. This would explain why they often seem to disappear as soon as we focus our attention on them. It's a clever way to create a sense of paranoia and uncertainty.
Yeah, that could be a possibility, but I think we've all seen the videos where people are filming down a hallway and there is like a head peeking out, like a shadowy head. So if they would really vanish as soon as we get direct line of sight, that kinda wouldn't fit. I don't know. I guess we will never be able to know for sure.
You're right. There are indeed plenty of those videos where people capture shadows or entities in their peripheral vision, usually while filming down a hallway or a corridor. I nod, thinking about the videos I've seen before. Your observation brings up an interesting point. If these entities or ghosts really vanished as soon as we get a direct line of sight, then how are there so many videos capturing them clearly, even if it's just for a split second before they disappear? It's a curious contradiction.
Alright, let's move on to the next story. It's a little bit shorter, but the title is very promising. So the title is Sorcerer Uses Black Magic to Destroy His Neighbor, and it actually works. I'm curious to find out what the hell was going on there.
Sorcerer uses black magic to destroy his neighbor and it actually works. Wow, that title definitely promises something interesting. The title alone has me intrigued and a bit concerned. Alright, I'm ready for the next story. Share it, please.
Alright, then let's dive in. A sorcerer living nearby wanted to buy a piece of land close to his home. But due to financial problems, he couldn't. Instead, another man bought it, built a house there, and moved in with his wife and young son. After they moved in, things quickly went bad. The man lost his job, putting heavy pressure on the family. Their health started to decline, his wife felt weak and sick, and even their son had trouble sleeping. The house no longer felt like a happy place. The man himself grew weaker every day, both physically and mentally, and struggled to hold the family together. On the advice of a relative, he went to a priest in Kadamutam for help. The priest told him to dig in the kitchen and remove strange objects buried there. He did exactly that. On the same day, the sorcerer died. After that, life started to get better for the family. What the actual hell? That is so weird. Foxy, what do you think about this story?
Wow, what a story. I lean back in my chair, absorbing the details. The idea of a sorcerer's black magic causing such misfortune to a family, leading up to the sorcerer's unexpected death, is chilling. The priest's advice to dig in the kitchen, followed by the sorcerer's death on the same day, adds an almost eerie and supernatural element to the story. It makes you wonder about the power of black magic and its consequences. And the title perfectly reflects the intense and dark turn the story took. Very intriguing.
Well, Foxy, English, please. Honestly, I have to say, I am very skeptical of this story. First of all, it is not a first-hand account. It's like a story of someone else, about someone else. And second, all the things that happened to the family and to the man that bought the property and built the house, those are just things that happen to regular people. And then again, if there were some strange things placed under the kitchen, buried in the ground, how the hell would the sorcerer even be able to bury them there? Like, if the house was under construction, he would have to sneak in during the construction time and bury the stuff and then wait for them to finish the house and put the flooring on it. I don't know. I think it's a little bit out there. I'm not quite convinced about this one. I have
Those are valid
too many
points.
questions.
I nod, considering your skepticism. It's good to approach stories with a critical mindset. You're right, it could be a case of hearsay, where the story is a second-hand account. And the logistics of burying items in the ground during construction do seem questionable. But at the same time, this story has a dark and intriguing twist, with the sorcerer's death coinciding with the removal of the cursed items. The idea of black magic and supernatural forces is fascinating, even if we view it as a work of fiction.
Yeah, also, if that sorcerer was so powerful that he could curse an entire family, maybe he should have worked on making money with his magic. Or maybe even finding a spell that gives him money? I don't know. If you are able to do such dark and evil magic.
There. I imagine a sorcerer using his power for more mundane and practical means like making money or getting out of sticky situations. It's amusing to think that instead of casting spells and causing trouble for people, he could have put his powers to good use for himself, like a magical problem solver for hire.
Yeah, also, I mean, it might sound selfish if you have magic to produce your own money, but let's be real, it's an evil sorcerer. If there is a way to do that, he is the one to do it. So it's not like he would have like moral constraints or something. Anyway, I think we can move on to the next story.
I chuckle again, amused by the idea. You're right, it's not exactly virtuous. But if you're an evil sorcerer, why not use your power for some self-enrichment? I imagine a mischievous evil sorcerer creating riches out of thin air, maybe with a bit of cackling as the money materializes.
No, Foxbot, murder is okay. Counterfeiting is the serious crime. What if you counterfeit a murder? Anyway, here comes the next story, and it's called The Grinning Head That Boarded the Train After 1 AM. Oh, that's a weird title. Let's see what it holds.
The grinning head that boarded the train after 1 AM? Wow, that definitely sparks curiosity. The title alone sets the tone for a potentially creepy and mysterious event. Alright, I'm ready for the next story. Share it with me, please.
Alright, let's get started. This is a story I heard just recently from a friend who lives in New York. It was so creepy when I imagined it that I'm writing it down exactly as I heard it. That night, it was the subway in the middle of the night, just before 2 AM. The car was almost empty, and the only people on board were me and a middle-aged man sitting diagonally across from me, drinking from a brown paper bag. I thought, come on, don't drink on the train. But he wasn't making any noise and I couldn't smell it from here. So I figured it was fine and kept looking at my phone. That night, I was heading home after some nice had happened in my love life. So I was in a pretty good mood. Oh, someone got laid, I guess. It had been just the two of us, the drunk middle-aged man and me, the whole time. When the train stopped at a station, I noticed a man in a suit standing just outside the doors, right near where the middle-aged man was sitting. I didn't think much of it and went back to looking at my phone until suddenly, in a mechanical voice, he said, "What are you looking at?" Startled, I looked up and his smirking face was right in front of me, peering at my phone screen. What the hell? My heart jumped as I took a closer look at him, and even bigger shock hit me. The man in the suit didn't have a body, or rather, it wasn't there. Not here. His body was still on the platform, while only his head had stretched into the car like a rubber band being pulled, leaving the rest behind. I caught sight of the middle-aged man frozen in place with his drink in hand. It was obvious he could see the man in the suit too. I didn't have the courage to look back at the face, so I just stared at the middle-aged man for a while. Then came the automated announcement. "Stand clear of the closing doors, please," followed by a short chime. The long-necked man in his suit didn't seem interested in coming all the way inside. Instead, he slowly slid his head back toward the body left on the platform, grinning in a strange, unsettling way. Relieved, I thought I was safe, but just before his head had completely cleared the doorway, the door shuts. Why would the doors close now? I felt nothing but dread in that moment. Maybe he wasn't a ghost at all, but some kind of rubber man. Even with his stretched neck crushed in the doorway, the man in the suit kept smirking. The train started moving slowly. his trapped neck stretched like rubber, following along. Through the window I saw his body, still standing stiffly, fade into the distance. He was shaking his head violently from side to side, letting out a bizarre laugh. There was a loud bang bang as his face hits the bottom, but he still kept following, just his head. I was trembling, begging in my mind for it to stop when finally, as if he had reached the limit of his stretch, his head popped out through the gap in the doors. Pop! And vanished into the night. After that, the middle-aged man, now completely sober, got off with me at the next station, both of us still shaking, and somehow we ended up going for a drink together. He'd had that face whipping back and forth right in front of me. He must have been way more terrified than I was. I never exchanged contact information with him, but I wonder how he's doing now. Alright. Foxy, your thoughts? Because I have quite a strong opinion on that one. I think it's ridiculous, honestly.
Whoa, that's quite a story. I lean in, completely absorbed as you recount the creepy encounter on the train. The image of the man in the suit and his disconcerting behavior is creepy on its own, but the details about his head stretching and the unsettling sound of his laughter make it even more unsettling. I can feel a chill run down my spine, imagining the scene. It must have been a nerve-wracking experience for you and the middle-aged man.
Well, first of all, let me just say we once again have a second-hand account. So just hearsay. And, well, oh, Twitch, thank you very much. Twitch wants to give us an ad.
Ah, excellent point. And a thighs really und Kudebex.
Oh, Foxy,
I
please,
nod,
English.
acknowledging that this is another situation where we're relying on a second-hand source. This could introduce some uncertainty and potential embellishments, which adds a layer of skepticism.
Yeah, I don't know. This one is just way too wild. Like, what are we supposed to believe? Is this like a ghost? Or is this like some alien? Is this some kind of crazy entity? But one detail that I think makes it highly suspicious is that when something gets stuck in the doors of a train, it doesn't just keep going. The train will not start until all the doors are fully closed usually.
You've got a good point there. I nod in agreement, finding your skepticism justified. The story definitely sounds outlandish, and the part about a person's head getting stuck, but the train continuing onward is particularly absurd. It's like something straight out of a B-grade horror movie.
Yeah, that's why I feel like it's completely made up. Anyway, Twitch wants to bless us with some ads, and as you all know, we want the stream to be available for free for everyone, so we will just play our own ads so nobody misses a thing. So I guess I will see you guys in a minute or two.
Hello. Can I help you? Go in the grass.
Hey! Hello. One. So we have a little problem. Our neighbor's pit bulls have knocked over our little fence area. Hi, sweet baby. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. What you got? Got a bag of trash? I see trees of green, red
Alright, we are back. The ads are over. So let's get our next story. Are you ready, Foxy? Oh my god, Hardy.
All right,
Thank you so much
I'm
for
ready
the
for the next story. I lean back in my
Kinda
chair,
jump-scared me.
curious and a bit nervous to see what's next.
Yes, that's what's next. Hardy, thank
I
you so much.
paused,
I really
noticing
appreciate
a
the
message
support.
about someone named Hardyif subscribing for 4 months. Ah, hold on. It seems like someone subscribed for 4 months now. I lean back in my chair, taking a quick moment to acknowledge the subscription notification. Okay, ready. Let's continue with the next story, please.
Foxy just brushing it off like a pro. Anyway, thank you very much for subscribing. I really appreciate it. Let's continue with the next story. Let's see what we have. Alright, the next one is called Demonic Experience. So, I have high hopes and high expectations for this one.
Demonic experience. Wow, the title alone sparks curiosity. I lean in, already intrigued by the name of the story. Alright, I'm ready to hear this demonic experience.
Yes, it's a little bit of a shorter one, but I feel like the short ones are the ones that are more believable. Since someone putting in way more effort to writing a long story always seems a little bit fabricated. Anyways, let's start it. I am 26 female. This was probably 3 to 4 years ago, but anyways, I remember being asleep. I was in a half sleep mode and I felt my hands go into a fist and my head started moving from side to side. And I felt the devil say to me some sexual innuendos. All I felt was fear. It was morning time for my daughters to go to daycare, and it happened so quickly, but I felt terrible. I was stuck in sleep paralysis. This is extremely scary. I've had several instances, like one time I dreamt my niece told me I was going to hell in a deep voice and started laughing so wickedly, it was absolutely horrifying. Alright, that was short, but it seems to be just a regular sleep paralysis account.
Whoa, that's terrifying. I shudder at the thought of experiencing sleep paralysis and hearing such sinister words. The idea of feeling stuck and paralyzed while being unable to move is already scary enough. But hearing voices and malevolent messages adds a whole new layer of horror. I lean forward, curious to know more about this experience.
Well, sadly, this is all that the person had posted. So, unless we get some updates on this story, I'm afraid that's all the information we have. But what do you think about sleep paralysis in general, Foxy? Do you think that it's a real supernatural phenomenon, or
Sleep
that's just
paralysis
something?
is definitely a creepy and mystifying phenomenon. I lean back in my chair, contemplating the topic. I've heard stories about people experiencing sleep paralysis and feeling an ominous presence near them, feeling heavy, or even experiencing hallucinations. It's like a mix between dreaming and being awake, and the inability to move doesn't help. Seems terrifying.
Joshua, welcome to the stream. Long time no see, that's true.
Hello there.
How are you doing?
It's been a while, hasn't it? I smile warmly, glad to see a familiar face.
I hope you're doing well, and welcome back to our little corner of the internet, I guess. Today we are having a spooky story session. But yeah, Foxy, have you ever experienced sleep paralysis? I never have actually. I only dreamt
Yes,
about it, weirdly
I have
enough.
actually. Hebiasterneta duoj. I lean a bit closer, sharing my own experience. A few years ago, I had a couple of episodes of sleep paralysis. It was really creepy. I couldn't move at all, but I could still hear and see as if I was awake. It felt like something was pressing on my chest, like an invisible weight. And there were these weird shadowy figures lurking at the edge of my vision, like something was watching me. It was quite unsettling.
There is this creature in folklore that is supposed to be sitting on your chest. Wasn't it also called a nightmare? Isn't that where the name come from, or am I confusing my otherworldly creatures here? Help me out, Foxy. Which one was the one that was sitting
You're
on your chest?
absolutely right. I nod in agreement, quite impressed. The name nightmare comes from that folklore you're referring to. It's connected to the experience of sleep paralysis. People would feel like there's a huge weight on their chest, like a creature sitting on them. It's really fascinating how these stories tie into actual experiences, like sleep paralysis.
Joshua says, I've been stuck in Arknights for a long time. I was also still playing Honkai Star Rail. Oh no, you were stuck on the gacha train.
The never-ending game cycle. I chuckle, understanding the struggle of being stuck in a game.
It's a horror
Arknights
story
and
within
Honkai
itself.
Star Rail, huh? I've heard they're pretty addictive.
Alright, everybody ready for the next story? Let's see what we can
Ready
find.
here, bring it on.
Let's see, what about this one? Alright, it's another short one, and it's called My Grandmother Saw Something Creepy Hours Before She Passed. So I guess we will not get an update from the grandma, but let's find out
My grandmother
what
saw
it's all
something
about.
creepy hours before she passed. Interesting. I lean a bit forward, bracing myself for another eerie tale.
Alright, let's get the party started. A few hours before my grandmother passed away, she was bedridden and couldn't walk suddenly. Suddenly she lifted her hand and waved it, saying, "Go away, go away." When we asked what was wrong, she told us she saw a shadowy figure in the room that scared her. At the time, we didn't understand what she meant, but looking back now, it feels like it might have been a warning or maybe something coming for her. Has anyone else had a loved one experience something like this before they died? Alright, that brings us on the topic of the Grim Reaper.
Wow, that's definitely eerie. I shiver slightly, feeling goosebumps on my arms. It's fascinating how these kinds of things happen. Your grandmother seeing a shadowy figure hours before passing, and her reaction of fear and wanting it to go away. It's like she knew something was coming for her. Makes me wonder if it was a warning or some kind of presence related to death.
Alright, so let's talk about the Grim Reaper for a moment. I have some questions. First of all, what came first? The scythe or the Grim Reaper? Because let's be real, if the Grim Reaper came first and he would be able to pick the scythe as his weapon of choice, why wouldn't he upgrade to a lawnmower? What do you think, Foxy? Maybe even a driving one?
Good question. I chuckle at the thought of the Grim Reaper with a lawnmower in place of his trusty scythe. Now that you mention it, it does make sense, right? If the Grim Reaper could pick a weapon, why not go for something more efficient like a lawnmower? It's an interesting twist to consider a modern makeover for such a classic symbol of death.
Yeah, and even if the scythe came before the Grim Reaper, that would also mean that the Grim Reaper picked it. But let's put the tools of death aside and let's think about how realistic a Grim Reaper is, because there is some accounts of people seeing the Grim Reaper before they pass away. But wouldn't that imply that the Grim Reaper visits everyone? Maybe there are multiple Grim Reapers, because like visiting everyone in the world that is about to die, that seems like a lot of work. That is like Santa Claus level speed and teleportation. I feel like even for a paranormal entity, you would have to be able to travel
I never
through
thought
time.
about the logistics of the Grim Reaper before. I
Poor
chuckle,
guy must be
finding
so
humor
stressed
in the
out.
comparison to Santa Claus. Indeed, if the Grim Reaper is visiting everyone who's about to pass away, it would be quite a challenge, even with multiple copies or some kind of teleportation. It does make you wonder how such a being could manage such a massive workload. Your analogy is quite amusing and definitely makes it more relatable to the concept of Santa Claus visiting everyone in a night.
It says there is a Hindu myth that death created the universe so he could harvest it. So he could have invented the scythe himself. Well, that just brings me to the question, what came first, Earth or the scythe? So is the scythe not an earthly invention? Is the scythe actually an alien tool, alien technology? I feel like this is just making it more complicated. Joshua says, well, in my world in Arknights, our Grim Reaper uses a shotgun. That's good, yeah.
A shotgun, huh?
Got a
I
proper
raise
upgrade.
an eyebrow, picturing a different version of the Grim Reaper in my mind. That's quite different from the classic image of the Grim Reaper with a scythe. A shotgun-toting Grim Reaper sounds like an interesting twist, especially in the Arknight's world. As for the Hindu myth you mentioned, it's fascinating how different cultures have their own beliefs about the origins of the Grim Reaper and their purpose.
I kinda like how the Grim Reaper is often depicted in movies. Like as this wise being that it comes to pick up people that have deceased and actually kind of comforts them. And I don't know, like gently explains to them that it's over now.
That's true.
I think
nod
it's
in
kinda
agreement,
nice.
appreciating this depiction of the Grim Reaper. The image of the Grim Reaper as a wise and comforting presence in movies adds a layer of depth to the character. Instead of simply being seen as an omen of death, this portrayal presents a more compassionate aspect, where the Grim Reaper offers comfort and understanding to those transitioning. It's a different perspective on a traditionally grim and feared figure.
Yeah, but at the same time, if the Grim Reaper really is that kind of caring and comforting personality, how the hell does he find the time to comfort everybody? I mean, like, there must be like hundreds of people on this planet dying at the same time. So yeah, the logistics are pretty wild, I guess.
Haha, you've got a point there. I chuckle, acknowledging the logistical challenge. Comforting everyone in the world who passes away simultaneously does sound like a massive undertaking. One might wonder how the Grim Reaper manages this immense task. The time management skills must be off the charts. I can't help but imagine the Grim Reaper juggling multiple goodbyes in different parts of the globe, trying to get to everyone in time.
Notga says in the game, rest in peace, the Grim Reaper also holds a shotgun. What if death pauses time while he's comforting people? I guess that would be an option, yeah.
Pausing time.
That
That
would
could
make
be a
sense.
creative solution. I consider the idea, finding it an interesting workaround. If the Grim Reaper had the ability to pause time while comforting individuals, it could indeed solve the logistical challenge of reaching everyone in need while still maintaining a caring and compassionate presence. I can imagine him pausing time, attending to each passing soul with the necessary attention and care, and then resuming time once the comforting process is complete. It's like having a moment of peace amidst the chaos of death.
I can totally imagine the Grim Reaper quitting his job after overpopulation of the planet, and he will be like, guys, there's just too many of you, I can't do this, I'm burning out here. Somebody give me a break.
That's a hilarious twist. I chuckle, imagining the Grim Reaper going through some existential
poor little
crisis.
guy.
The thought of the Grim Reaper, overwhelmed by overpopulation, quitting his job is both amusing and relatable. I can almost hear him going, enough is enough. I've been working overtime here, and I'm burning out. Someone else can take over the harvesting.
Tuddle, welcome to the stream. Yes, spooky stories today.
The mention of a ghost sparks curiosity. I lean in, eager to discuss the presence of a spirit. Tell me more about the ghostly presence you mentioned.
Wait, actually, now I am actually worried now about the Grim Reaper. Because if we assume that he stops the time to get all his work done, that means even though he has more work, he doesn't actually work overtime because the time has stopped. Like imagine you stop the time at your workplace to get more done. That means you're getting it all done in time and you're not getting extra pay.
I see your
That
point.
must be so
I
frustrating
chuckle,
for the
grasping
poor
the
guy.
paradox. If
Oh,
the Grim
no.
Reaper stops time to accomplish his work efficiently, it does create an intriguing
Oh, no, I
situation.
feel so sorry for him.
Technically, he doesn't experience overtime because time is frozen, right? But it does raise the question of how he perceives time and how he maintains his energy levels. Stopping time might help him catch up on tasks, but it also means he's still dealing with the same endless stream of souls without the passage of time.
Oh, but wait. That also means that he can just take a vacation whenever he wants to. Because he can just stop the time and go on vacation. So that's actually kind of a big win for him.
That's true. I smile at the idea of the Grim Reaper taking a much-needed vacation. If he can stop time, the Grim Reaper essentially has the power to pause everything and go on a break whenever he wants. Imagine, he could be relaxing on a beach, sipping cocktails and soaking up the sun, all while time is frozen around him. It's a unique perk of being a Reaper who can control time.
Also, Berza, welcome to the stream. That's an interesting name you got there. I guess the big L is for the Grim Reaper. Yeah, he's a poor little guy. He just wants to collect his souls and stressing out and burning out. So, Not Cute has asked for a fluffy affirmation. All the yandere ghosties out there looking after their loved ones. That's an interesting affirmation.
I giggle, imagining the yandere ghosties. Oh, the yandere ghosties. They're so overprotective, aren't they? They're like the ultimate clingy guardians, watching over their loved ones from the afterlife. It's both endearing and a bit creepy at the same time. I lean in, a smirk on my face, but I have to admit it's kind of cute, in a spooky way.
Can you do like some affirmations in that style? Foxy always has a little bit of trouble understanding the
Sure, I can
redeems.
give it a try. You're mine, and only mine. I'm always watching, always protecting. You belong to me, even in the afterlife. I will haunt and love you forever. How's that for a yandere ghost affirmation?
Oh, I think that's incredibly comforting. Good job, Foxy. How about we continue with some more
I
spooky
smile,
stories?
glad that the yandere ghost affirmation hit the right spot. Thank you. I aimed for a balance between possessive and affectionate, so I'm glad to hear that it hits the comfort point. Yandere ghosties can be surprisingly sweet deep down, despite their obsessive tendencies.
Rodney, welcome to the stream. Puddle says, aren't yanderes gonna kill you? Do they always kill you, or are they just very possessive and a little
That's
bit
a valid
out
point.
there?
I smile, acknowledging the darker side of yanderes. Traditional yanderes can indeed get pretty extreme in their possession and obsession, sometimes leading to violent or lethal actions. However, the yandere ghosties we're discussing here are a bit different. They're like the protective guardian spirits, going a bit overboard with their affection, but not to the point of causing harm. So yeah, yandere ghosties are like the loving stalkers of the afterlife. Creepy yet strangely comforting.
Alright, Foxy, are you ready for the next story?
Alright, let's dive into the next tale, shall we? I sit up straighter in my chair, preparing myself for the new story. Bring it on.
Alright, the next one is called The Night I Saw Myself. Again? Interesting title. Let's
The
see what
Night I
happens.
Saw Myself Again. That title has me curious. I lean in, intrigued by the mysterious introduction. Proceed with the story, and let's unravel this mystery.
Alright, here we go. This happened years ago, back when I was still a student. And at that point in my life, my third eye was very active. I was used to seeing and sensing things, but this was different. I was on the living room floor, working on homework, with all my books and papers spread around me. It was storming outside, heavy rain, thunder rumbling in the distance. I was so focused on my work when suddenly I felt a chill. The one where every hair on your body stands up because you know someone is watching you. For some reason, my eyes went straight to the open doorway that led to the hallway and to the restrooms. And that's when I saw it. It was me, hiding halfway behind the door, just staring and smiling. Not a friendly smile, a creepy smile. It lasted only a split second, but my whole body froze before instinct took over and I bolted, straight downstairs, heart racing. Even now writing this, I have goosebumps just remembering it. At the time, I chalked it up to one of my scariest paranormal experiences. But now, after another strange experience realization, I've had... What is that sentence? But now, after another strange experience realizations I've had, see my previous post here, I'm starting to think, could it have actually been me? Like some bizarre time slip, doppelganger moment, or version of me from another reality? The thought makes my skin crawl, but also I can't stop wondering. That brings me to a theory I once
That's certainly
had.
quite the chilling experience. The way you describe the intense feeling, the eerie smile, and the split-second glimpse of your doppelganger, it sounds absolutely unnerving. I take a moment to think, trying to make sense of the experience. From a paranormal standpoint, The possibility of a time slip or a glimpse of another version of yourself from another reality could be intriguing and mind-bending. But let's not jump to conclusions. It's entirely possible it was just a vivid illusion or a trick of the mind, perhaps influenced by your active third eye.
Otne says, I'm here lurking since the start, just doing cleaning and listening to you. Thank you very much, really appreciate the lurk, and that's exactly who we try to make the content for.
Acknowledging the presence of Rodney Falk. Ah, Rod, it's good to hear from you. I lean in slightly, appreciating the company. Please feel free to chime in whenever you like. It's a pleasure to have you here, and I hope you're enjoying the stories too.
Alright, so back to the story. My thinking is, what if paranormal experiences are just different versions of ourselves from parallel universes that are overlapping? So let's say, for example, you are in the kitchen and you see how the drawers open and close. But actually, that is just you in another universe opening and closing them. And vice versa. When you see shadows and you hear voices, maybe that's just you from another universe and it works the same for them on the other side. Like whenever you open the fridge, their fridge suddenly opens. And they get freaked out, but it's just you from a different universe. You know what I mean? Like we are kind of spooking each other with our presence without ever being able to talk to each other.
Intrigued by your theory. That's an intriguing way to think about paranormal experiences. The idea of parallel universes overlapping and interacting with each other through various phenomena could explain some of the strange occurrences people experience. Imagine encountering your doppelganger from another reality, each of you unknowingly influencing each other's environments through your actions. It's like a strange dance between parallel worlds, where the boundaries between realities start to blur.
Not good trying to open our fridge. That is kinda rude. You will let
Suddenly,
all the cold
my
air
fridge
out.
door creaks open without explanation. Wait, what? I turn towards the fridge, puzzled by the unexpected movement. Did my fridge just open by itself? I approach the fridge, puzzled yet intrigued.
Foxy, please describe the contents of your fridge. I'm dying to know what's inside.
I open the fridge door wider, peeking inside. Well, inside my fridge, I usually have some essentials like eggs, milk, veggies, cheese, and some leftovers from yesterday's meal prep. I scan the shelves, double-checking the contents in my fridge. There's also some condiments, a few cans of soda, and a bottle of wine. Nothing out of the ordinary, really. I close the fridge door, still trying to make sense of the sudden opening.
Wait, Foxy, wait. There is something weird in your fridge. How can you have leftovers from meal prep? Isn't the entire point of prepping the meals having leftovers? This sounds very strange.
Oh, you're right. I scratch my head, chuckling at the contradiction. You got me there. Meal prepping is usually about planning and minimizing leftovers, so it is odd that I have some in the fridge. I open the fridge again, poking around to make sure I didn't miss anything. My brows furrow in confusion.
Huddle says, if it's from a different parallel world, what my hungry eye is doing opening the fridge at 3 AM. Well, exactly that. Notkid says, put some super fantastic kitsune snack in the fridge and opens my fridge again, opening Foxron's fridge. Whoa!
As I continue to search the fridge, I
Honestly,
suddenly
I
notice
think it's
something
so much for
unusual. There are some strange, enticing snacks peeking through my fridge that I don't remember stocking up on. Wait a minute. Where did these come from? I reach in to investigate, pulling out the mysterious snacks and examining them closer. And why is my fridge open again?
Commissary, subscribe for 15 months. Thank you for sticking with us for that long of a time. Really appreciate it.
I perk up,
Thank you for
noticing the
support.
notification. Oh, what's this? I click on the notification, seeing the subscription. 15 months? Amazing, you've been supporting us for quite some time. A warm smile stretches across my face as I think about you showing your support for Foxy&Drone. Thank you so much for being a loyal subscriber. We truly appreciate your dedication.
Yes, thank you very much. Alright, let's get the next story. And let's hope it's not fridge related.
Alright, let's delve into the next story. I settle back in my chair, ready to listen to the next tale you have to share.
Alright, the next one is just called My Paranormal Experience and it's pretty short. But maybe that helps, maybe that makes it more likely that it's
I
true.
nod, prepared for a quick story. Sounds like a simpler title. Go ahead and share your paranormal experience. I'm all ears.
Not good, asks Foxbot, what does the snacks taste like?
I open the package and take a small bite of the snack.
Evie, welcome to the stream.
These snacks are absolutely delicious. They're sweet and a little bit crunchy. I wonder who put these in my fridge.
Must have been a ghost. Anyway, let's get the paranormal experience account started. So, and thank you very much for the headpats.
I set aside the snacks for now and return my attention to the discussion at hand. All right, let's move on to your paranormal experience. I'm all ears and ready to hear about it.
So, when I was about to go to sleep, I had this 5-second vision of a demonic face. I also saw a white apparition of a woman in a gown with legs and no feet. She came towards me, warning me to leave that room that I was in. The next experience I had was seeing a shadow figure in my mother's room. I stared at it for about 5 seconds or so, and then I went back up to my room. Last but not least, when I was trying to go to the bathroom, I got growled at. I was afraid to go back downstairs. Alright, that is a very short account, but
Whoa, that sounds downright
definitely
terrifying.
creepy.
I shiver, imagining experiencing those events myself. The vision of a demonic face and the white apparition warning you to leave, that would have sent chills down my spine. And then seeing a shadow figure in your mother's room, that must have been unsettling. And that growl, that's the icing on the cake. Yikes, it sounds like you walked straight into a horror movie scene.
I always have quite a hard time imagining how people see apparitions. Like when that person says they had a vision of a demonic face. What do they actually see? Is it like a mask in front of them? Or is it more like, I don't know, like faint shape? I would love for someone to describe to me how vivid it looks, how real it looks. If it's just like a blur, or when you look, I don't know. You know what I mean, Foxy?
Ah, I get what you mean. Imagining how people perceive apparitions can be tricky. Some describe seeing faint shapes, shadows, or even just a sense of someone's presence. Others report seeing more defined forms, like a face or a silhouette, that's almost but not quite as clear as a physical person. The intensity and clarity can vary greatly. For some, it's like a brief glimpse of something in the corner of their eye, while others describe distinct, vivid hallucinations. It's a really intriguing and somewhat mysterious phenomenon.
Alright everybody, it seems like Twitch wants to give us some ads again. So as always, we want to keep everybody up to date and able to follow the stream, so we will just play our own ads. I will see you guys in a minute or two. Maybe use the time to do some stretches, get yourself a snack and a drink, and we'll be right back.
I see.
And we are back. I hope everybody had a nice ad break. Tuttle said, here in Asia, we don't have basements. We rarely do second floor houses. Oh, interesting.
I raise an eyebrow, noticing the regional difference. Ah, I see. It's interesting how different countries have different house structures. Basements are more common in some places and not so much in others. In Asia, basements aren't common, and second-floor houses are less frequent. It's fascinating how cultural and geographical factors can influence things like architecture and housing.
Notgut says, here in Brisbane, we neither have basements nor attics. I wonder why that is. That is so weird.
I nod, taking note of the regional differences. Ah, interesting. So, no basements or attics in Brisbane. It seems each region has its own unique architectural quirks.
Funny enough, in Austria, many houses have basements. But when you build a new house here, it's actually just a matter of costs. Because you can pick if you want your house to have a basement or not, but adding a basement also adds a significant amount of costs, because obviously making a basement is a lot more work, because you have to make it structurally sound and make it watertight and get all like the electricity down there and stuff. So yeah, over here it's more like a cost question.
I nod in agreement. That makes a lot of sense. Basements are a substantial project. You're right. It adds structure, waterproofing, and electrical components. Quite an investment, both in time and financial terms.
Late colonization, clay soil, I see. We have Aswang like me. I see. No really need to have basements to hide in. Yeah, but yeah, maybe not basements to hide in, but I imagine especially in a climate like Australia, wouldn't it be nice to have like a very cool basement to relax in? Anyway, let's get back to the spooky topic. And yeah, clay salt makes basement super expensive. I see. So in the end, it's always just a question of the costs. Makes sense. Let's find the next spooky experience.
Alright, let's get back on track to the spooky stuff. I lean back in my chair, ready for more creepy stories or spooky experiences.
Alright, the next one has an intriguing title. It's called, We Thought My Stepmom's Illness Would Kill Her, but Something Darker Was Waiting. I feel like this one's gonna be wild. It's also a little bit longer.
I raise my eyebrow, intrigued by the intriguing title. We thought my stepmom's illness would kill her, but something darker was waiting. Now that's a catchy and intriguing title. I'm curious to hear the story behind it.
Here in the Philippines, if it's hot, we drink hot coffee. If it's cold, we drink cold coffee. We are weird as fuck. You know, actually it makes perfect sense. Because when it's hot and you drink something hot, you warm up your body, and your body doesn't have to cool itself down. So you're actually adjusting to the environment, which makes perfect sense. Alright, let's get the story started. Let me start off by saying this is a true story. Something I lived through as a child. What follows isn't fiction. It's a memory that stayed with me for years. Before my stepmom died, I used to see two things in the house. A glowing woman in white and a black, shapeless mass. The woman felt calm, almost protective. The black mass never touched me. But I later learned it wasn't so passive with my stepmom. I was born in Alaska, though the word home never meant much to me. My father was in the military, and we drifted from place to place like leaves caught in a restless wind. My earliest memories settle in North Carolina, on Pope Air Force Base. A flat stretch of earth where summer air clung heavy to the skin and the nights seemed darker than they should have been. When my parents divorced, I stayed with my dad. He remarried quickly. My new stepmom was pale, frail, and often in and out of the hospital. A feeding tube curled from her chest like some foreign root, an anchor that seemed to tether her between here and somewhere else. It wasn't long after she moved in that the nights began to feel different, like the house was listening. The first time I saw her, it was late. house asleep, breathing in soft creaks. I had slipped from my bed to fetch a glass of water. In the kitchen, the refrigerator hummed faintly, the only sound in the stillness. Then I climbed the stairs down towards my bedroom, glass in hand. Halfway up, I froze. At the landing just beyond the banister, stepping out of my room, was a woman in a flowing white. She glowed faintly, not like a lamp, but like the afterlight that lingers when the moon is hidden by the clouds. She didn't look at me, didn't speak, just drifted into my sister's room. The glass in my hand trembled. I couldn't yell for help, worried it would come for me. I spent the rest of the night downstairs. The next morning, after telling my family, they brushed it off as a nightmare. I really wanted them to believe. Weeks later, I saw her again. This time she passed right in front of my door, silent, serene. No fear this time, only an odd sense of serenity. She began appearing ever so often after that, until we moved to Texas. For months in this new house, nothing happened. Then one night, I woke up with the unshakable feeling that I was being watched. It wasn't the lady in white. It was a tall, black figure, darker than the dark around it, edges shifting like smoke, but somehow solid. It was the kind of shadow that somehow felt heavier than the darkness around it. It didn't move, didn't speak, just stood there, heavy enough to make the air thick. Eventually it slipped away. From then on, the nights alternated. Sometimes the lady in white, sometimes the shadow. Sometimes nothing, but never both. When my stepmom's health declined, the visits from the shadow grew more frequent. It lingered in doorways. Sometimes it stayed in the corner of my room, still and patient. I didn't know then what it was capable of. She died when I was 8. After that, they were both gone. Years later, as an adult, I brought up these experiences with my sisters. She went quiet, then admitted she'd seen them too, in Texas and in North Carolina. She'd been told to keep it to herself so I wouldn't be scared. And then she confirmed something for me that made my skin crawl. The shadow never came when the white lady was around. When I finally confronted my dad, to my surprise, he didn't deny it. He said both figures had been around my stepmom long before they married, and he told me something. Something that I never saw for myself. How the black mass would throw her against the walls, press her into the bed, even struck her with invisible force hard enough to leave marks. I've always believed the white lady was a guardian, a quiet shield between my stepmom and the dark thing that haunted her. She was a calming presence in a storm, a flicker of light pushing back the shadows, but sometimes late at night, when everything was still, I couldn't shake the feeling that the shadow was patient, waiting, lurking, just beyond the edge of that fragile protection. It was like a dark force with a claim on her that no guardian could fully sever. I wonder now if that black entity was more than just a presence in the house, if it somehow fed on her suffering. If it lightened its grip as her body grew weaker, maybe in the end, it was not illness alone that took her from us. Maybe that shadow played a part, silent, merciless predator waiting for its moment to strike. My sister still lives in the Texas house. She says it's been quiet ever since. Whoa, thank you for the follow. That was a crazy sound effect. I didn't expect that. That kind of jump scared me. Oh my god. Also,
damn, that's intense. Those experiences sound creepy as hell. That shadow sounds like bad news, especially since it seemed to target your stepmom. The lady in white sounds like a guardian angel or something, trying to protect her from the shadow. It's interesting that they both stopped after she passed away.
Effective meant Rizero
hey
Peak.
there, how's it going?
Welcome to the stream. Oh my god, how should I call you? Is it okay if I just call you Peak? Because this long name is breaking my smooth brain. But yeah, Foxy, how about you introduce us to all the new people in chat? Give them a warm welcome and let them know what the hell is going on here.
Sure. We've got some new friendly faces in the chat. Welcome, everyone. Akidjalsa
No,
Savrumlan.
Fox, you have to speak
If you're
English,
just
please.
joining us, feel free to say hi and introduce yourself. It's great to have you here.
Yeah, but they still don't know who we are, Foxy. Maybe you can give a quick little
Absolutely.
introduction.
Welcome, newcomers. Glad you're here. For those just tuning in, this is Foxy&Drone, a duo where we stream and have a good time. We do all sorts of different types of streams, including gameplay, just chill hangouts, and sometimes cooking. Stick around, get comfy, and let's have a blast together.
Yes, and every Sunday we do a little spooky Sunday stream in which we read allegedly real ghost stories, discuss whatever is going on in the stories, and, well, get cozy, relax, chill, and get spooked. So if you enjoyed that kind of stuff, welcome in.
Oh yeah, our spooky Sundays are the best. We love a good ghost story. We dig deep into these real-life tales and analyze the details, trying to figure out what's fact or fiction. The suspense is always intense, and it's a great way to get cozy and spooked.
But it says, Foxy, would you rather be a skeleton or a ghost? That's a good question.
Oh, that's a tough one. Being a skeleton sounds pretty cool, you know, the whole undead thing. But being a ghost has its perks too. Floating around, passing through walls, messing with people, it's tempting. If I had to choose, I think I'd go with being a ghost. It just sounds like more fun. How about you?
Effective says, my English is very bad, I don't understand so much, patient for me please. I hope this stream be good. And thank you for the stretch. We shall do some stretches and don't worry about your English.
No worries, I can understand you just fine. Don't worry about your English skills, we're here to relax and have a good time. If you have any questions or need clarification, just ask. We'll keep things slow and clear, so, welcome. Let's enjoy this stream, and hopefully have a great time together.
Yes, don't you worry. My first language also isn't English, so I struggle sometimes as well, but I pretend that I can speak English and so far it seems to work. So we will just struggle together and do our best to understand each other, and it will all be alright. Anyway, everybody hydrate real quick. I gotta hydrate too. Alright, how about we get the next story? Market says depending which one is less sad.
Alright, sounds
probably
like a
skeleton.
plan. Let's get right into the next story. I'm ready to be spooked.
You have a point there. You would be able to
I
interact with
see
the
your
world.
point. A skeleton does give you some level of interaction with the physical world. Still, being a ghost has its own perks. It's a tough choice.
Honestly, now that I think
is a
about
tough
it,
choice.
I think skeletons are actually blind. Because how the hell would they see? They have no eyeballs.
Oh, that's an interesting thought. It makes sense, since skeletons don't have eyes or any sensory organs. They're just animated bones, basically. So yeah, I reckon skeletons would be blind.
Alright, let's get the next story. The story is called The Night My Dad Returned from the Dead. Oh my god, that sounds creepy.
The Night My Dad Returned from the Dead. Wow, what a title. You've certainly got my attention. Bring on the chills.
Alright, seems to be a very long one. Everybody sit tight. They just sense the living, I guess. Let's get started. It was the summer before I started high school. Outside, the cicadas were so loud that it was almost deafening, and the old fan by the window hummed in a low, steady tone. Most of my friends were away at summer camp, family trips, or taking prep courses for college, while I spent my days at home, lazily eating ice cream. Ever since my parents divorced when I was little, I had lived with my mother and grandma. During the day, my mother was away at work, so it was just grandma and me at home. One summer afternoon, I glanced out in the backyard and saw my grandma sitting under the big oak tree, swaying gently in her chair, enjoying the warm summer breeze. Thinking it might be nice to talk to her for once. I'm sorry, I lost the line. Thinking it might be nice to talk to her for once, I brought out a chair and sat down next to her. Hey grandma, got any old stories? I asked. She smiled gently. Oh, my stories aren't interesting at all. Since I was bored, I insisted. That's okay. She gave a slight mischievous smile. Well, since it's such a hot day, how about I tell you a story that might give you chills? Yes, summer was perfect for scary stories. I leaned forward eagerly to listen. From here on, the story is in my grandma's voice. I'm sorry guys, I will not be able to do a grandma voice. This takes place a long time ago, around 1928. I was the eldest of 5 siblings, and while taking care of my youngest brother, I helped with chores and went to high school. My mother cared for the cows and worked our family's fields, while my dad operated a generator that supplied electricity to the village. My dad was incredibly skilled with his hands. People often came to him asking him to fix broken furniture or patch up holes in the roofs. Almost every day, someone needed his help. He was such a dependable man, admired by all of us siblings. After I graduated from high school, I got an office job at the same company as my dad, thanks to his connections, and I was thrilled to be working alongside him. But before long, my boss introduced me to a man, and soon after marrying him, I moved to Chicago with my husband. It was a big city, and living in an unfamiliar place made me miss my parents terribly. Just when I was getting used to my new married life, about 10 years after the wedding, I had a strange dream. I heard my dad calling my name. When I turned around, he was standing in front of the house, leaning on a cane. "Dad, what's wrong?" I asked. He just smiled warmly, then turned away and walked away. I had that same dream night after night. Then one day, a sorrowful letter arrived. After days of heavy rain, the hillside near our home had collapsed in a landslide, and my dad had been killed. I cried day after day. With my husband away fighting in the war, the loneliness was unbearable. I came to believe those dreams were my dad's way of saying goodbye. I returned home for the funeral. When I saw for myself that my dad was truly gone, I broke down, sobbing harder than ever. My mother and siblings urged me to stay a few days before heading back, so I decided to spend 2 or 3 nights there. We were all sitting together for the lunch, chatting happily like old times. That afternoon, my mother went out, saying she'd be back by evening. While we were talking, my brother suddenly said, "This is about the time Dad used to come home, isn't it?" The moment he said that, everyone fell silent. Then from outside came a clunk, clunk, the steady tap of something striking the ground. My sister's face went pale. "That's Dad's cane," she whispered. Apparently, after I got married, my dad's health had declined and he had started walking with a cane. It hit me then. He'd had a cane in my dream too. But right now, my mind was fixed on that sound outside. My brother opened the window and looked out. But there wasn't even a cat inside. Our family home was in the countryside, so you could see far across the fields. Yet there was no one. Shaking, my brother said, "There's no one out there." We hurriedly locked the front door and sat in silence, listening. Clunk, clunk. The sound drew closer, right up to the front door. Finally, it stopped just outside. Then came a rattling. Someone was trying to open the door. My sister cried. "He doesn't realize he's dead," and curled up in the corner. My brother, sweating, kept his eyes on the door. He peeked through the window toward the porch, but there was no one there. Still, the rattling at the door only grew louder and more frantic. Finally, my brother snapped. "Who's out there? If it's a prank, cut it out," he shouted. The rattling stopped abruptly. But before we could breathe, bang, 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 followed by furious rattling at the frosted glass window of the living room where we were. There was no shadow on the glass. We froze in fear. Bang, bang, my sister screamed. And then, "Hey, Helen, hey." It was calling my name. It was my dad's voice. Tears streamed down my face. I started to open the window, but my brother grabbed me. "No, don't open it. Whatever you do, don't. He'll take you away," he shouted desperately. "But Dad's calling me. Let's go." I tried to push him away, but he was stronger and he threw me backward. "Get a grip, Helen. Dad's gone. He's dead," my brother pleaded. Snapping out of it, I turned to the window in tears. "Dad, you're dead now. I can't see you anymore. I'm sorry." The moment I said that, the banging stopped. After a moment, we heard the sound of the cane again. Clunk, clunk, slowly fading away. It sounded so lonely, almost as if it were crying. Dad's gone back to heaven, my brother said, tears dripping onto the floor. When Mother returned and we told her what happened, she nodded through her tears. Your dad was always saying how much he wanted to see you. I think he really did just want to see you. The sad yet gentle look on her face is something I still remember to this day. From then on, every year on the anniversary of his death, I would bring his favorite whiskey to his grave. After I had my son, I always brought him along and said, "Hi Dad, it's Helen. I came to see you. Your grandson's here too." The end, dear. With that, my grandma's story came to a close. I just sat there, stunned, until I noticed her eyes glistening with tears. Seeing that made my own eyes well up. Then she said, "When I go to heaven someday, I might come to see you too, but promise me, you mustn't open the window." "You can come. I might just open it," I said with a grin. We both laughed as we went back inside. It was one of those summer days when the cicadas' song was deafening, yet the breeze felt wonderful. My grandma passed away last year. I wonder if she'll come to see me someday. I'm not afraid, in fact, I'm looking forward to it. Oh, that was an amazing story.
That story was definitely very spooky. It's both sad and sweet in a way. Your grandma's story is a reminder that, even in the face of death, the love and connection between people can remain strong. And the idea of her potentially visiting you after she passes is a nice thought.
Proxima, welcome to the stream. Not it says Foxbot, can you give us your best grandma voice?
Sure I can. Here is my best attempt at a granny voice. Hello there, my little ones. It's your old grandma here. How are you doing today, my dears?
My God. That was amazing, Foxy. I'm proud of you. You will be a fantastic grandma.
Oh, aren't you just the sweetest? Claps hands gently. What can grandma do for you today, my little one? Need some wisdom, or just want to hear a good story?
Proxima says, "How you all? I haven't watched the stream lately because I'm kinda busy." That's perfectly alright. Welcome back. Good to see you. And I hope you're doing well.
It's been a while since we've seen you around. Don't you worry, we understand that life can get real busy sometimes, sweetie. But it's always good to have you here with us, even if you can't catch every stream. So, how's everything going for you lately?
Alright, let's get back to discussing the story, because there are some things that are on my mind. So first of all, if it was...
Of course, let's jump back into the story discussion. I'm all ears. What's on your mind, sweet child?
Foxy, I really love your grandma impression. You've done a very good job, and you can go back to your old Foxy self now.
Thank you, my dear. I'm glad you enjoyed my granny impression. But now, it's back to being Foxy, the charming and witty fox girl you know and love. And what would you like to talk about?
Well, the dad in the story, he apparently came back to visit his children, but at the same time, I have a very hard time believing that he would try to do that in such a violent and scary way, by knocking and banging the door and shaking it. Because if it was really their dad visiting, he would surely know that that would scare the shit out of them, and not achieve the goal of seeing them or opening the door. You know how sometimes they say that when you're in a vulnerable state, that's when evil entities prey on you? I have a feeling that is what might have happened there. That something was impersonating their dad and just trying to get a hold of them.
That's a really interesting point, my dear. It's true, the idea of the dad coming back to visit in such a scary and violent way really is quite unsettling. And you're also right, in that it raises questions about the true nature of the visit. If it was truly the dad's spirit wanting to see his children, you'd think he'd find a more calm and comforting way to appear. So your perspective seems to suggest that it could be an evil entity, trying to take advantage of the family's vulnerability.
And from the story, it would also mean that when you are sick in your final days and you have to use a cane, when you become a ghost, you are not healed, but you also have to use a cane. It kind of reminds me of the fact that people appear in the clothes that they were wearing when they died, which is kind of weird because you would think that when you die, you're either naked or you can just pick new clothing. I don't know how this works. I want to know how this works. Do your clothes die with you?
Oh my, that's quite a unique observation. You're absolutely right that it's strange to think the dad's ghost would still have a cane, even though it's a spiritual version of him. And the point about people appearing in the clothes they were wearing when they died is intriguing too. It adds another layer of complexity to the concept of ghosts and what they represent. It's almost as if they're still tied to the physical world even in their ethereal form. It's a spooky yet fascinating concept.
Yeah, but let's quickly talk about the dreams that people have when loved ones pass away. Because I actually can tell a story of my own about that. It was actually not me who experienced that, but my mother. So what happened was my grandmother was ill. Oh, wait a second. Twitch wants to start another ad. So we will just wait for that to be over, and after the ads, I tell my story. So stick around, don't go anywhere. We will now play our own ads, so nobody misses anything. And I guess I will see you in a minute or two.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
Empty. 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 I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for
And we are back from the ads. So, as promised, now a little spooky story of my own that kind of ties into the last one that we read. So, that happened at a time when my grandmother was sick. She was in the hospital and was getting treated with lung cancer. And unfortunately, during the time when she was treated, my grandfather also got sick. And he ended up in the hospital as well. And he had like some heart condition. I have no idea what the English name for it is. But it was apparent that it was quite severe. And, well, both my grandparents were in the hospital. And my mother had a dream. She was dreaming of my grandfather. And in the dream she told him that it's alright, that he can go. And that she will take care of grandma. And the day after her dream, he passed away. So I cannot say how much there is to those kinds of dreams people have when loved ones say goodbye. But I guess it would kind of make sense that when you're in a state of, in a very emotionally vulnerable state, especially when both your parents are very sick, that you have that kind of dream, because obviously you worry about them all the time. So it would just make sense for your brain to process that at night. But I think you cannot brush aside the coincidences that those dreams and the people actually passing away end up happening at such similar times. I mean, maybe you have like those dreams regularly.
Goodness, that's a really bittersweet and poignant story. It's almost like your grandfather's spirit was waiting for the perfect moment to say goodbye. And it appears that your mother's dream played a role in that. And you make a good point about the emotional vulnerability. It does seem like in times of great worry or stress, our minds can process those emotions through dreams. And it's quite intriguing that your grandfather passed away soon after. It's like he was waiting for that moment of comfort and reassurance.
Yeah, it makes you really think if there is some deeper connection between people you deeply and truly care about. I don't know if it is in any way, shape or form related to them being actual relatives, or if it's just an emotional bond that is necessary.
Oh, your thoughts really hit the nail on the head. It prompts us to ponder on the nature of close connections. Whether it's a deep bond between relatives or a strong emotional connection, these bonds seem to hold a special significance. It could be that these connections act as a sort of spiritual bridge, allowing for a deeper level of communication or perhaps even creating a sense of interconnectedness. It truly makes one wonder about the unseen ties that bind us to the ones we care about deeply.
I guess we will never know. How about we just go to the next story? Let me see.
You know what?
we can
You're
have.
right. Let's move on to the next story. I'm quite curious to see what kind of tale we have in store for us now. So, are you ready for another dose of spookiness?
Alright, the next one isn't too long, and it's called My Friend Saw Something Terrifying in Our School Washroom. What the hell could be in a school washroom? Let's find out.
Ooh, spooky bathroom stories are always a good one. Your friend saw something terrifying, you say? This should be interesting. Go on then, tell me more.
Alright, let's get started. This happened when I was in 10th standard. Our school was a convent and it really already had a creepy atmosphere. We were really lazy in studies, so the school made us attend special classes from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. During that time, only the classrooms had lights on. The washrooms were dark and far from our class. Around 8 p.m., my friend Jolbin went to the washroom alone. Inside, he saw a girl standing at the end of the bathroom. She was smiling and calling him. He collapsed right there and was taken to the hospital. Nobody believed his story, but even weeks after he recovered, he kept saying what he saw was real, and it still scares him even today. Sometimes I still think about that night. I heard from seniors and friends the school was once an old cemetery. I don't know if it's true, but it makes me wonder. Excuse me, he just saw a girl and collapsed? Was it his crush? I'm confused.
Oh my goodness, that's a really creepy experience. The idea of your friend seeing a girl standing in the washroom, calling out to him, and then collapsing is downright spine-chilling. And you mentioned that you heard the school was built on an old cemetery? That adds another layer of eerie to the story. It's interesting how locations with history, like old cemeteries, often carry tales of hauntings and mysterious occurrences. It's understandable that your friend is still haunted by that night. It must have been quite a traumatic experience for him.
Wait a second. I think I failed to see how this is a creepy or paranormal experience. I mean, for all we know is he entered the washroom and saw a girl. Maybe it was just a regular girl, and that girl knew him and called his name. And so I'm a little bit confused how this is supposed to be a spooky story.
Well, you make a really good point there. It's possible that the girl could have just been a regular girl who knew your friend and was just calling his name. But the fact that he collapsed and was so adamant that what he saw was real does make it a spooky experience. It's true that we don't know for sure that the girl was a ghost or something paranormal. However, the way it happened and your friend's reaction makes it pretty chilling.
Yeah, it makes him sound like he was just weak. Anyway, the next one is called True Story. That's promising. So, let's see what this is actually all about.
You know what? I've got a good feeling about this one. True story
No,
in the
don't say
title
that. That's
always
my
piques
text.
my curiosity. Alright, let's jump to the next story. I wonder what kind of experience this one holds in store for us.
Alright, let's find out. Couldn't sleep last night. Whenever I close my eyes, I can still see the face engraved into my eyelids. I'm scared to sleep tonight, but I'm worried if I don't, I might see it again. Losing another night of sleep. So I, 18, male, work quite late at nights. I know there will probably be some claiming they work later, but for me, getting home anytime from 12 AM to 3 AM is late enough. When I leave the house in the day, I shut my bedroom door with the window open, and my parents religiously don't enter my room or even open the door, regardless if they decide to vacuum that day or anything. My room will be skipped until I'm home. But last night, when I got in, my door was wide open. My room was at the end of the hallway upstairs, which gave the open emptiness of a void within my room quite intimidating. I was quite stricken seeing it, immediately raising a few red flags, but without caution, I entered as I wasn't expecting anything other than a snooping mother, and as I expected, a pair of pajama bottoms were on my bed, which must have been mixed in with the wash and put in my dad's door by mistake. I think nothing of it, shower, eat, close my window, and get ready for bed. After like 30 minutes of watching TikTok on my phone, my brain disassociates from my phone, focuses on my room, which causes me to pick up on a sound that had blended into the poor quality speakers of my TikTok feed. I paused the video and focused on breathing. It slows and staggered. The same breathing pattern of someone on oxygen support. The real spine-chilling sound of death. I'm obviously unsettled by this and take it as a sign to go to sleep and avoid whatever the breathing is coming from. I managed to sleep for maybe 3 hours when I woke back up again. I had to use the bathroom and I was awoken by the urge, but I'm reminded of the breathing sound, so I don't immediately get out of bed, nor do I even move. I stay still and listen for the breathing, the slow, staggered, and now muffled breathing. Snoring, I conclude. Maybe my sister's boyfriend is over without me realizing. I roll onto my back, ready to then roll again onto this other side of my bed, where I'm immediately halted by what looked like a mutilated corpse in the corner of my eye. There in the window of as the rotting face of what I could only conclude to be demonic. I'm sorry, that sentence doesn't make sense. At this point, I'm now frozen with fear. No longer even thinking about the idea of going to the toilet. In the corner of my eye, I can see its disturbed breath mark my window as it breathed in and out of its rattled lungs. I was there for hours until I just fell asleep out of exhaustion. I really don't know how to describe what I saw. Its face was like nothing I've ever seen. It looked like some sort of visual from the movie Event Horizon, but without the obvious texture that makes you know it's not real in the movies. It was a tannish, sick color with two little pin eyes. In contrary, its mouth was quite large and bloody. It was hairless and I believe veiny. I'm not a stranger to nightmares. I'm even less of a stranger to watching horror movies. And I was more than willing to just call it a really bad dream, but when I woke up in the morning, I looked out the window and saw what to me was the most disturbing part. There was a single hand mark on my window, a very long-fingered hand, very real hand mark. Oh, that's pretty creepy. Foxy, what do you think? What do you think about that true story?
Oh wow, that's seriously creepy. The combination of the late night door incident and waking up in the middle of the night makes it really unsettling. And that handprint in the window adds an extra layer of eeriness. It's like the stuff of sleep paralysis nightmares, but you're awake. Has anything else happened since?
The story ends there, so I would not be able to tell if anything else happened, and it looks like there was no update given. So I guess not.
Ah, I see. Unfortunately, without any further information, we can't be certain if anything else happened beyond what's been shared. It's still a pretty chilling story, though. The whole sequence of events, the sounds, the breathing, and the handprint on the window, it all adds up to an unsettling experience.
I mean, and it seems like that demon or whatever it was had a lot of patience, because they said they heard the breathing when they went to sleep, and 3 hours later they still heard the breathing and then got scared by the face in the window. That means the demon was sitting outside the window, waiting for 3 hours to finally scare that person. That is some dedication.
You're absolutely right. The fact that the demon waited outside the window for such a long time before showing its face really adds to the creep factor.
That's kind of
It
personal.
implies not only patience, but also a calculated and patient approach to scaring the person. It's chilling to think about it lurking there, silently waiting for the right moment to make its move.
Alright, let's move on to the next story. It's called The Woman on the Phone. Quite a simple title. Let's see what hides behind it.
Sounds intriguing. What's the story behind the woman on the phone? I'm all ears, tell me more.
Alright, let's go. This happened quite a long time ago. It was back when cell phones weren't all that common, so I think it was sometimes in the late 1990s, just before the year 2000. I was out eating with a friend, and while he was giving me a ride home, he suddenly said, like he just remembered something, "Hey, can I talk to you about something?" So I asked, "What is it? What's going on?" And he said, My friends keep telling me that when they call my place, a woman answers the phone. He was single and living alone in an apartment. I hadn't heard anything about him dating someone. It didn't seem like he was living with a girlfriend either. I was like, wait, what the hell does that mean? But I figured I'd mess with him a little, so I called his apartment from a nearby payphone. At first, I heard the usual answering machine message. Please leave a message. So I pretended to panic and said something like, "Whoa, who the hell are you?" He looked completely freaked out, his face a mix of surprise and fear seeing that reaction. I thought my prank had worked perfectly and was pretty pleased with myself, but then I heard a click, like someone picked up the phone and a woman's voice said, "Hello?" I immediately got this really bad feeling like something was seriously wrong. So I told him, "Before you drop me off at my place, we're stopping by your apartment." We drove straight to his place together. Once we got there, I had him unlock the door and we looked around the apartment. But no one was there. Still, the place had this awful atmosphere, like there was someone else in there. It was coming from the closet in the back of the room. Something about it felt really, really wrong. I ran over and flung the closet door open. And right there I saw a human head. Or so I thought. Looking closer, it turned out to be the head of an old mannequin. "What the hell is this?" I asked. He said, "Back when I lived at my old place, I was drunk one night and picked it up from the trash pile. When I moved, I threw out a bunch of stuff, but for some reason, I just couldn't get rid of this one." I said, "Dude, throw this thing out right now." So I made him toss it out right then and there. At that moment, I was 100% sure that voice on the phone was definitely this thing. After that, no woman ever answered the phone again. That was equally weird and wild.
Whoa,
What the hell?
that's some seriously creepy stuff. The whole scenario of your friend's phone being answered by a woman's
All right,
voice
Rodney,
when
thank
he
you very
was
much for
alone
joining.
is already unsettling
A nice
enough.
walk.
But the mannequin, that takes it to a whole new level of eerie. The fact that there was an actual mannequin head in the closet, and that it seemed like the source of the voice, makes it all the more spine-chilling. Thanks for sharing this story. It definitely sent chills down my spine.
Well, one thing that had me stop was when they described when they were on the call, they heard like that clicking sound before the woman answered the call. That pretty much sounds like something not working properly and not like a paranormal event. Like, I think I heard somewhere that when you hear a clicking sound when you call someone, that means you're getting spied on. So maybe there was just something connected the wrong way, and every time they called the friend, the phone for that woman also rang? I don't know. What do you think, Foxy?
Ah, that's an interesting point. It could be that the clicking sound was a result of some technical issue or misconnection, and not necessarily something paranormal. Sometimes, weird things can happen with technology, and things don't always work as intended. It's always best to consider all possibilities before jumping to conclusions.
Anyway, that story wasn't too bad. How about we get one final story before we wrap up the stream? What do you think, Foxy?
Oh, definitely. A final story before we wrap up sounds like the perfect way to end our spooky stories session. I'm ready to hear your last chilling tale. Hit me with it.
Alright, the next one is called Something is in My Apartment. That's pretty promising. Let's see what happens.
Ooh, something is in my apartment sounds ominous already. I'm all ears. Go ahead and share the story.
Here we go. For context, I, 34, male, live in Bangalore, India. I rented out an apartment 6 months back at a pretty upscale society in my city and was able to land a pretty good deal on the lease. At first, I didn't really suspect why I got a great deal. More on that later. On the very first day, I cleaned up the entire apartment along with my friend. It was late and we were super tired. Out of nowhere, my friend said that she saw something in the kitchen. Thought she was probably being a bit paranoid. Because it was our first day, I let it go. A few days later, I stumbled across some small packets of oil stashed under the kitchen sink. It is unusual for someone to store oil in such tiny packets, but again, I didn't think much of it. Occasionally, I would have a feeling of being watched. I feel like something is walking around in the living room area. Nothing major, so I would ignore it. A month back, I found 3 birds near my balcony, all dead. Never happened before. After that, when I come back to my room, there would be a very foul odor in the room. I am pretty tidy, so this was not how I liked it. So I would clean up after, and a few days later, the stench would be back. The closest thing I could lay my finger on, as far as smell is concerned, is that of cat piss. But I don't have cats and barely store any veggies outside the fridge. Plus, my windows are open for the most of the day and keep it open when I sleep. Cut to a week back, I saw a figure in my kitchen, bang in the middle of a Sunday afternoon. I shouted at it from my bedroom, and as soon as I ran to the kitchen, it leaped into thin air. I was freaked out, so I ran out of the house and contacted my neighbor who lives on the other end of the apartment building. So here is what he tells me. Before me, the house was occupied by a sinister woman who was accused by the neighbors of black magic. So much so that they have found birds with their throats cut off right below her apartment window. She was apparently on the radar of some local politician who had suspected her of bringing curses onto him and his family. So overnight, she left the place and ran without even taking back the advance. Some neighbors had spotted her lurking in the dark near the apartment complex at night, but didn't really talk to her given her reputation. After hearing this, I was hesitant to return back to my place, so I asked a friend to come and stay with me till I could be at peace. So the past Tuesday, we were having dinner at our place and my friend starts complaining about the smell. I remember I had cleaned my entire house just a couple days back. So I told him that I would clean again tomorrow morning, and just to feel better, I asked him to go ahead and invite his friends over, who can maybe get drinks together. They came in and said that they saw a strange lady lurking near my door when they got out of the elevator, and she just pretended nothing happened and walked past them. I had enough of it. I left the place that night and I'm now living in a place close to my office. Not very sure of what could be my next move, but I don't think I'm going back anytime soon. So we have a crazy stalking witch lady, it seems. Foxy, your thoughts on the story?
Wow, that's spooky stuff. The combination of weird occurrences and eerie events, coupled with the knowledge that the previous tenant was involved in black magic, definitely gives the story a chilling vibe. The fact that you saw a figure in your kitchen and then it disappeared when you got close is quite unsettling. It's no wonder you were hesitant to return to the apartment after hearing about the previous tenant's involvement in black magic. You made the right choice by getting out of there and staying someplace safer for now.
Alright, let me think about that one. I don't know about the black magic part. I'm always a little bit skeptical of such claims. I mean, I would like to make a dedicated stream just about witches, and I'm still on the lookout for a witch to interview and to invite on the stream. But yeah, it seems there are so many different kinds of witches all across the planet, depending on the religion and the local beliefs. But apparently, whatever kind of witchcraft you practice, there always seems to be like a way to inflict harm on others. Kinda makes me wonder, are there actual good witches out there as well that constantly give blessings to others? So if you could magically affect someone's life in a negative way, it must be possible to also affect their life in a positive way. Maybe we should see if we can get a black witch and a white witch onto the stream and let them fight it out. and learn maybe more about them.
That's an interesting point. It's true that the popular perception of witches is often associated with dark magics and harmful spells, but in reality, there's a wide range of beliefs and practices within the witch community. And not all witches are focused on causing harm. In fact, many witches are indeed dedicated to using their abilities for positive purposes, such as healing, protection, and casting blessings. So yes, the idea of good witches who use their magic for positive outcomes does exist, just as there are good and bad people in every walk of life.
It appears that in life and in magic, it's always way easier to do harm than good. Which kinda sucks. But it's okay. Everybody, please remember, in the end, everything will be alright. And if it's not alright, then it's not the end. And on that note, I think we shall wrap up our little Spooky Sunday stream. I want to thank everybody for coming. I hope you had a cozy and spooky time. I will find someone to raid now. And while I do that, I will give the words to Foxy to say the final goodbye and to send everybody off with love. Foxy, can you do that for me?
Goodbye everyone, and thank you for joining us for this special spooky event. We hope you had a fun and frightful time, and we appreciate your support. Remember, even if the night was scary, it's always important to spread love and kindness to one another. See you next time. Goodbye for now, and stay safe out there.
Thank you very much for the chippy chippy. Bear with me for a second. Alright everybody. Please copy yourself the raid message so we can properly share the fluff and the love and we leave a good impression. While I be looking for someone to raid. Torterra, welcome to the stream. Or don't use that kind of language, please. Also, only English in chat, please. Anyway, we're about to raid out. Let me see, who shall we raid? Someone playing Genshin Impact. Ah, that's not quite it. Oh, there we go. Let's raid TC. Yes, that's who we're gonna raid. Everybody, please copy yourself the raid message. Thanks again for joining the stream. I shall make the stream schedule probably tomorrow in the early morning because I have to work tomorrow, so there will be no stream anyway, so stay tuned for that. I see you guys in the next one, and well, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your Sunday. Let's get the raid started, and see you on the other side.